Hi, it's Xavier, and beginning of a new week, and we're going to get around and have a look just how well these air layers have responded to being kept in sphagnum moss right through the winter. You'll see a lot of them. Well, probably I could have got these out a bit earlier. They're sprouting. Certainly the maples all are, the hawthorns are, and the olives. Well, we'll wait and see and have a look. But anyway, if you want to catch up with me and see just how good the root structure is there, and find out whether it is actually worthwhile keeping them in sphagnum moss, stick around and we'll have a look. Be right back. Okay, so now it's time to have a look and see what's actually gone on. This is the first of the air layers, and if you haven't seen the video, I don't know why. It's a good video, but it'll be somewhere up there in the link, or you can have a look at the Japanese maple, Trident maple playlist I've got. The direction for this one, you've obviously already got an issue going straight away. All of this is exactly the same, there's no taper in it at all. So I can see a point where initially that gets removed, and then we grow on these, and it could even be that what happens is that gets removed, or I air layer, do another little air layer in here and have something from there. So there's options, but the first thing we want to do is get it out and have a look and see whether or not this worked. What I will say, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's about 7 of them. It's all the same technique and method, so rather than take you through the laborious process of looking at each one, what I'll do is I'll use this one as a demonstration. I'll do the others all off camera, and unless there's something that comes up which I'll show you or point out, I'll show you them at the end when I've probably got them in pots. So this won't actually be that long a video, he says, crossing his digits. Okay, there's no roots coming out the bottom. I'm being noisy at the moment. Okay, well, we'll look at this first of all. There's a fine cobweb lattice on the top. I can see lots of root structure in there. Also, it's difficult with the sphagnum to work it out, but we do know that we've got lots of leaves. In fact, there's so much life, I've even got bugs on every single one of these, so they'll get spread. I think there was some roots that came out of the bottom, but do you know what? Let's see how this comes out. Okay, we can see the still root structure there. Smell alright. Let's have a look. Now the big thing that I know that a lot of people said, and certainly Yelly brought up, is that he'd rather get the sphagnum moss off right at the beginning stage rather than go through the process which I'm going to have now, which is trying to remove it carefully and gently post. And again, for those of you who don't remember, the reason why I did this is because of something that Peter Chan kept showing, in that the sphagnum moss gave you a massive production of roots. So it's the balance of, did I get more roots doing it this way with a little bit of hassle having to clean them, or not, so we'll see. But anyway, one thing I can say is certainly didn't kill the roots. As you can see at the ends of these root tips, got lots of little white brand new baby roots. I'm going to continue to very carefully tease this lot off. We've got some nice strong roots there, which is really good. Okay, I'm about 5 minutes later, and I mean, definitely got a nice set of roots. I mean, I won't say to you that I've got so many roots that, you know, it's made me think this is a better way than any other. I think, as Matt and Bobcat Bonsai said in one of his, there's lots of slightly different variations of the same theme, and well, on this one, you know, there's lots of roots, which I'll be able to certainly lay out. There's not what I'd call, you know, a rampant pile of roots, which, you know, perhaps might have been what I was looking to see as an obvious reason for leaving it. I'll agree with Yelly, it's definitely a bit of a pain having to sort the sphagnum out now. But then there is an argument that says these roots are a lot more stable, mature, than if I'd been trying to get the sphagnum out right at the beginning. So, I mean, what I can say, it certainly hasn't hurt the tree. I've got a really nice set of roots on this. So, what I'm going to do is just cut that off. Few that have gone straight down, but no, in terms of the air layer itself, apart from here, there's one there, got maybe a little one there, so there's a little area that hasn't done well, but overall we've probably got about 290 degrees around this. Well, we need to get this to a pot, I think. I'm going to find a pot and we'll get it in. Okay, skipped on a bit. Had a look. Nice little root base on there. We'll spread that out. There's no potting angles. I'm just going to maximise the fact I've got an oval pot. Just spread the roots out so how I want them. Okay, it's in place. The roots are there, I'm still holding it, I've got no means of securing it easily. Okay, so I'm having to use rocks to secure it. To be honest, on that one, I would probably have been better off not leaving it. If I'd had it in soil from last year, or a mixture of sphagnum and soil, then what I probably could have said is that we'd have had the roots growing out and there'd have been a more solid ball to work from. But no, it's fine. It's in. I'll put it somewhere where the wind isn't going to knock it over, and hopefully it'll quickly throw out a load more roots. So I'm going to go and have a look through the other ones and see if there's anything remarkable to talk about. But if not, next time you'll see them, they'll be all potted up, I hope. So anyway, when you go for air layers, I've got the sun coming around. When you go for air layers off the branches again, they look great when you take them off, and then when you start looking at them, you realise that you're going to have to do a bit of work on them. So there will be more work involved in these, but let's get this one out and see what the root structure's like. In fact, I can probably... Okay. Well, that wasn't expected, but I'm glad it happened on camera. That tells me something terrible happened having sphagnum in there. And the roots that were on there rotted. And again, I think there was one or two people who made that suggestion that you could have root rot. Yeah, there's all the roots there. There was only one side. You know, I hope it captured my face doing a funny face when that happened, because I didn't expect that. I didn't know that was going to happen. Wow. There's live buds on them, and obviously there's still green in there, so it's still getting nutrients. What I might do is try another experiment as a result of this. Cut it shorter. Cleared it up, cleared up an edge on there. I'm going to put that back into some soil, and we'll see if that'll do anything apart from die. That's a big indicator for me that though I love this experiment, that one was potentially going to be a much better tree. Okay, well, not all the great results happen at once, and this certainly wasn't one. But now let's find out just how resilient a branch cutting is on a maple. Who knows? We may get something from that, but yeah, that wasn't encouraging. move on to the next one, shall I? Let's try Hawthorne instead, shall we? I want some good news, and I think they're a bit more resilient, maybe. Again, no ideas what I'll actually do with this. Let's have a look, shall we? Now I'm definitely a lot more nervous. Okay, definitely got a lot of roots in there, but not loads of roots. And certainly not enough to warrant the risk that clearly happened then. Very one-sided. Okay, well, there's clearly a load of roots there. I'm going to rinse that off, put that in a little pot. But in fact, we've got. I think Tony discovered what it is. I think that's below the level. No, that's where the air layer was. So I've got two big roots there. But up here I've also got some roots, and there. Not sure whether to actually take those bottom ones off. I think I probably will. They've got the healthy structure on them. It's funny how you can see them dividing into like little branchlets. There's just the one. It's basically one main root on this side. That's right down the base below the air layer. Very interesting. Obviously no good to me though. So yeah, so right down beneath, I don't know how it got there. Did it bridge? Actually, looking at that, there's a little line there that suggests a bridge might have formed. Produce quite decent roots on it. That's quite interesting. I wonder if I put that in a pot whether I get anything out of that. It's an interesting experiment. Mind you, what do I really want with that? Not a lot. Okay. So we've just got this fine mat of roots here. Just from one side, there's one or two on this side. I'll clean this up, get this into a little pot. But again, there's more roots here. There's a lot of dead roots here. It rotted in that stuff. Definitely rotted. Okay, gonna get the others out. I've got a funny feeling we're going to have the same story with them. Okay, just put it into a little pot. Clipped a little bit off. Again, it's going to need to be somewhere without much wind. I was unable to secure it easily, and those roots that are there don't look the strongest. So I had a look through the moss, and there was definitely a lot of roots in there. So not good, not good. Okay, as the morning sun is going to send a lovely glow on my forehead, I'm sure. We'll move to this one. Here we go. Lots of roots in there, but how many are still attached, I wonder? Okay, we've got some at the top there. Okay, we've got a great big mat of roots there, but yeah, lots of white, very vulnerable roots. Now, I do wonder whether it's a reflection of how many roots there were in the original air layer, because I didn't really investigate. I don't want that to take. Again, what we've had there is an example of right at the base here, look, below the air layer, great big ones come out. They're very resilient, aren't they? So, I mean, this is going to be alright. This one will definitely be alright. I'll pop that, and that'll be fine. Okay, just wedged it into this little pot. Let's get rid of some obvious stuff we're not going to have. We don't want that. Don't want that. We don't want that either. Until this is established itself and got a firm set of roots, I'm not going to do very much more with it. Yeah, that one should be fine. But again, example of with the Hawthorne, how it will throw roots out in the most unexpected places where you wouldn't expect them to. Now I need to have a look at those bigger maples, and I'm a little bit worried by those. Although one of them I don't think I put in sphagnum. Okay, this one. Got soil on the top, so I don't know whether I actually... No, there's sphagnum down the bottom. Okay, well, I'm halfway through this, so I apologise now for the glare, but I need to keep going. And I'm sure you want to see whether or not... So we've got... I can't even remember why I put stuff at the top. Definitely that sphagnum is rotting the roots, and I know everyone's saying surely that was an obvious, and it was obvious to me. It's just clearly Peter Chan, when he does it, or whether it's because of the greenhouse or his ability to control temperatures better, is able to stop the rotting happening. Because none of his rotted, and that's what's happened here. The roots have stayed nice, so damp, that they've never hardened off. So I'd love it if that's... See, what I expected is that sphagnum to be the equivalent of the new roots. Investigated. I've actually, since it was put in the sphagnum, this whole new root system here has developed. From the original site, we've got a couple here, so there's 3 there, but it's the tree itself that's actually, yeah, so that root's just pulled away. Very, very... Okay, so I'm not going to risk taking that sphagnum away, so there's no point putting that back in any sort of bonsai pot at all. I need to get roots growing on these. Okay, well that's going to go into just a nice deep pot again. Okay, so again, this one will be fine. There was enough roots on it, but I didn't get an expansion of roots, and it was just more difficult for me to try and play with the sphagnum moss. Again, single issue, too much water in there. So I do need to probably try and get in contact with Peter and find out how he controlled that so much. But no, I mean, this one will eventually probably be up that main line there, but we'll put this to one side and see how it gets on. And again, I've put one of the cut ends just straight into soil and see what happens. I saw there was someone, I think, the US or Canada, I think, who literally was just lopping off maple branches and putting them straight to soil. I think he was screwing them to the base, and they were rooting straight from that great big thick one. So yeah, at least we'll get another experiment out of that and see what happens. Okay, so before we get on to the big maple, hopefully, I'm hoping that one I might have taken out of the sphagnum. Anyway, do you remember when I tried to do the air layer on my Hornbeam, and it was one of the air layers that didn't take, and I thought, why not just throw it in sphagnum and see if anything happens? And looking at it, I don't know if you can see right down the base here, there are some little buds there. So, and there may be a bud just there as well. So let's go and have a look and see what's going on. There may be nothing going on down there. But either way, I'm going to put it in soil rather than sphagnum. Now the difficulty again with this is because I know the root system, if there is one, is going to be very delicate. I want to be careful how I remove it. Now, I'm not actually expecting any roots, and I'm wondering whether there was enough energy inside the trunk itself, or the branch, to keep it going. Okay, well there's lots of budding there. What I'm going to do is rescore it. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, but there's definitely little bud points down there, so who knows. Hasn't been a great day so far for me. I'm normally really quite optimistic in that, but I think today we're learning the some of the unexpected things that can happen with bonsai. Not so much with this one, but certainly with the sphagnum. We'll get the big one out anyway and see how that is. Okay, so this one again, lots of buds on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything down there. Getting it out might be a bit more difficult. Okay, I've realised straight away looking into it, there's soil. That's pretty well soil, I think. It's actually quite solid in there as well. So I might have a little dig in there, but it may well stay in place. Right, no doubt. That was the one I put pretty well in soil. I'll have to go back and look at the other video, which might have been a good idea. It's solid in there, lots of growth coming from it. So my intention with that is to let it go for another year. This is probably where the tree's going to be on this side, but there's potential to take layers off different places, but I'm going to let this one grow, recover totally, give it a full year of growth and see what happens. But I don't see the point in pulling it out. We'll wait till next year and have a look and see what the root growth is like. But if I look back over that video, I'm sure I'll find out that's the one where I actually put it straight in soil. And if that's the case, then it was fine. So because of what I've seen so far, I was going to leave the olive. I'm going to get the olive out now because I'm worried about that. Let's see what's happening in here. So, absolutely nothing from the top, but from the bottom, got this here. There's only one thing I'm going to try. That was a complete and utter failure. They're alright, but that's not any good for me. I'm going to put that, see what happens from the base of that. I'll just see what happens with that. With that. Doesn't really matter, really. Okay. I'm going to put that in and see what happens as well. Okay, absolute failure on that, and I know for a fact the olive had some roots when I put it in. So what I'm going to do is all those stump cuts, basically, I'm going to pop them all up in standard bonsai soil, leave them, and just see how good the rooting process is for olives, because if you can do base cuts on them and basically cut all the root off and they root, I'll be interested to see whether that can actually produce anything. The only thing that might be going against it is that it's already gone a year, having been separated from its main root system. But we'll keep going with these experiments and just see what happens with the olives. So I will put those all into different pots and maybe show you a picture of it right at the end, and then it's something we can revisit with a few of these in 6 months' time. Okay, well they're all potted up now, and they're basically in a standard mix. Let's see just what we get from those. I'll turn around now and say that I think 99% chance says all will die, as will the hornbeam. But I had the choice. I could either just throw the lot away, or I could just go one step further and just see what happens. So it's probably no more different than taking hardwood cuttings. So we'll treat it as that. Overall, it was a resounding failure, the use of sphagnum, and it's not that I doubt Peter Chan. I think he's quite right, but I think the only thing that's a variable there is the storage temperatures and conditions inside the greenhouse, where he had those all his air layers in sphagnum. Clearly that's got to be the difference, because when they went into the sphagnum, so to speak, there was a lot more roots on them. I followed the same process that I could see, so the only variable seems to be temperature, humidity, something that keeps that sphagnum just a little bit drier than what I had. If only for the fact that I know that I haven't got the conditions to do what he does, and also perhaps it's an indicator to anyone else who may be watching that sometimes we have to be a little bit careful when we follow leads of other people. We have to take into account our own conditions and try to reduce the variables that perhaps are giving other people better results than what we may well get. Okay, well, I've got a short moment in between thunderstorm bursts, and I thought let's have a look at these air layer sphagnum moss disasters. We're now probably 5 weeks later on. That's the one of the big ones, and certainly we've got some growth in there, so yeah, that's going to be fine. And I think that might have been the one that was already in soil, so there's no reason to think there's going to be any problem with that one at all. No idea what variety it is. I think I call it a yellow leaf Japanese maple. That's probably what it is. How are the two Hawthorns getting on? Not the most attractive of potential bonsai, but as far as air layers go, they've certainly overcome any issues that might have come from the loss of roots from the sphagnum moss. So I'd say both of those are fine. Although they've definitely got our old friend down there, that lovely whiteness you can see. And what do we know that is? It's the old scale insect, so I'm going to have to get that stuff off before it sucks the life out of these. Okay, next to the maple air layers that I took, definitely seeming to be showing decent signs of new growth and sustaining the growth that was actually on there. We've got lots of little buds forming all over there, so you know, I'm quite happy that that's going to recover from the sphagnum experiment quite happily. The one next to it, however, is most definitely struggling. It's a shame. This is the one that had the most potential as a bonsai, and there is some buds that you can see. Certainly if you go lower down here, right down at the base, there's green still there, and there's some buds coming out, so maybe we'll be all right with that one. Who knows? Now, the hornbeam, that was a failed experiment last year. It didn't even get it to the sphagnum moss stage. But we put it in sphagnum moss, and you'll actually see, I don't know if you can see here, but there's on there buds. In fact, there's buds all around it starting to open up. And lower down on it, there's some really nice budding. So that one is clearly going to pull through, and that will make a really, really nice, I think it'll show in Hornbeam. And how are the olives looking? Well, certainly looking like we're going to have some nice firewood for Guy Fawkes night. I think is probably the best way of looking at that. None of them are showing any signs of buds. The one that had leaves on it has still got leaves on it, so I don't know, they tend to hold their growth for a very, very long time. We'll wait and see on that. And of course there was another maple air layer, which is probably the best of the lot, and that's this one here. Good length of trunk there before it forks off. Two dissimilar sized branches. Certainly we could do with the main trunk here not being quite so taperless, but there's a lot of potential with that, and as far as location for an air layer, very, very happy with it. It's looking pretty good. So from Xavier in the patio end, having completed the experiment with sphagnum moss, I won't do it again, but I'm glad I did it. All the best, happy bonsai, and God bless. Cheers.